Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. This is Accounting Nightmare. Welcome Tag, welcome Alyosha, welcome Rose, welcome Panicking. Good to see you all today. Just loading up the game. Alright, yesterday we got to start case 4. That was pretty cool. Case 4 is pretty good. That was a good find, Rose. Getting the box for a SNES seems pretty hard these days. Yeah, very cool. Okay, well, we started case 2-4, which is real good. We did the first investigation section, which was like 3 or 4 hours worth of gameplay. It was a lot. So we're about to go to trial. Alright, so what has happened? Maybe it's pretty easy to sum it up once we get access to like the profiles and stuff. Let's just load up the save. March 22, 9:47 AM, District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Alright, so there's our client this time. Alright, he is Matt on guard. He's a hotshot star, as it says. He plays the Nickel Samurai. And he's accused of murdering his rival, who plays the German Ninja. Yeah, it is another case about TV stars. Hey, Counting Kittens, welcome. Yeah, so we're defending Matt on guard. Juan Carrera was found dead in his hotel room. Had a knife stuck in him. Actually, we got a picture of the... Not that one. That one. Yeah. It looks like just a weak little butter knife. Anyway. Actually, we don't have the autopsy report yet, do we? Oh yeah, so there's some complicated stuff going on here. Okay, so things got real mean real quick because Maya got kidnapped. And the kidnapper is talking to us through a radio transceiver and demands that we get a full acquittal for this guy, or Maya will suffer the consequences. So it's gotten pretty dark right away. The kidnapper goes by the name The Killer. Yeah, so kind of sucks a little bit. Very much, actually. Edgeworth is back. He just reappeared, and he's even smugger than before somehow. But Nick is really angry with him. He's not particularly happy to see him, unfortunately. We're going up against Francisca again. Okay, so these two, there's kind of some weird history going on. So the manager for our client, she's our current suspect for framing him, because this was her mentor. Celeste Impax was her mentor, and she committed suicide a couple years ago. She was the manager of the victim, and the suicide note went missing, so no one knows what's on it. So we're thinking that she killed the victim to try and get this, because the victim was the one who found her body. So we're thinking he's the one who hid the suicide note, and so I think she was trying to get it. That's our current theory. Yeah, this is a pretty dark case already. To sum it up, teddy bears. Matthew means light of man, which certainly sums up how he thinks of himself. Good way to put it. Edgeworth exists within a smugness singularity. Yes. An event horizon of smug. Alright, so this is our first court day. Yeah, so we've got Pearl hanging out with us since Maya's MIA. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Is this gonna be Francisca? Too nice to be here. Maybe it's Edgeworth. Well, it's almost time. Ah, Mia. Mia! We must get a complete acquittal today. I know. But I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. No, the kidnapper. It's him. This is right. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired? Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please. Wait! Well? The kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer Dude, who was that? No one. It's nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? So since the kidnapper wants an acquittal for him, we used the Megatama to ask him directly, did you kill the victim, and he said no. And no Cyclops appeared, so we believe that he didn't kill him. Hey, the Grey Man. Yeah, I heard about the little patch that DMC5 got. I was hoping for a DLC announcement at E3, but it doesn't look like it's happening, unfortunately. Yeah, will. You like my tequila voice? Ah, thanks, Counting. I wish I could do the voice from the dub anime, because his voice in the dub is so good. Oh my god, it's great. Okay. 10 AM, District Court, courtroom number 3. Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Ungard. Are the prosecution and defence ready? Defence is ready, Your Honour. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I don't know, Your Honour. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honour! Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. That's awful. His present? Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. You're... I thought he'd show up. Your Honour, due to the circumstances, Miss Francisca Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Edgy boy! Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt Ungard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right? I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Edgeworth's theme is still playing. Witness, your name and occupation. My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe? The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, his theme's really good. Yeah, I actually didn't like Edgeworth's theme very much at first. It's very kind of overly grand and showy. But you know, that's Edgeworth. It suits him really well, and it's really grown on me. Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. So, up against Edgeworth, just like old times. Bare facts of the case. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 PM. It ended around 8 PM, and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony, Detective. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant, Matt Ungar's manager. She's a really pretty lady, sir. Ah, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. What does that have to do with anything? As that costume that the victim was wearing, is that an Onimusha reference, is it? That'd be pretty cool. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. Ongard. After visiting his room, she went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body? After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. The cause of death? Wasn't that because Mr. Corrida was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, a real pro's attention will be drawn here to this bandana. Banana. Oh, his bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. What? No! No! Then what about the knife? The judge is so good. It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here. Autopsy report. Time of death 8:15 PM. Cause strangled with a scarf, then stabbed with a knife. That is pretty strange. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The German ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but... But? The only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. Ah, so much for my theory then. Oh, the judge is trying so hard to be helpful. Guitar case updated. Empty, there is some water but only on top of the lid. Bears Karita's fingerprints. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Carrito, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So, you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So the guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. That's pretty interesting. Hey Sneejan, how are ya? Welcome. That is, wouldn't he have noticed due to the weight difference? Maybe he was just in a hurry getting ready. Fun fact, there's a big difference between strangling someone and choking someone. Ah. I didn't know that. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt Ungard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well. Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Why would he stab him with a knife afterwards? Anyway. Gonna drink some water. Was he choked or was he strangled, Edgeworth? Good question. Matt Ungard and Juan Carrito were huge rivals with each other. Let's see if the autopsy report says. Strangled. Strangled with a scarf. Strangulation causes unconsciousness and then death by cutting off blood to the brain. Choking causes it by blocking the flow to air blocking the flow of air instead. Ah, okay. I didn't know that. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the German ninja's button. It was ripped off the ninja's costume and was found in Mr. Ungard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. Knife. Bears the victim's blood and on guard's fingerprints. In the grip, Gatewater is engraved. Then there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood? Yes. And we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? Gem and Ninja's button was ripped from his costume, is covered in Kurita's blood. Found in on guard's hakama. All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, right? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you'd like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Now, boys, settle down. Matt Ungard and Juan Kurita were huge rivals with each other. But in terms of popularity, Mr. Ungard won, did he not? Yeah. But you know what's ironic, pal? Juan Kurita was always one step behind Mr. Ungard in everything. This year it seemed like he'd finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown. But Mr. Kurita lost the Grand Prix in the end. That is too bad. He must have been pretty downhearted after losing. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. Wait just 1 second here. Mr. Ungard was beating Mr. Kurita in the popularity polls. Well, yeah, I guess, but... Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all. Yes, I quite agree. Well, Detective? It's not... Well, I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have had no motive. Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired. Oh, Edgeworth, please. No, not you too, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. I look forward to your pension negotiations. Wow, Edgeworth is being an asshole. No. Now, Detective. Let's continue with the testimony. Oh, no. Not my poor pension, too. Detective, if you value your money, I suggest you proceed. Yes, sir. We can talk about my pension later, sir. What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone? As for evidence, there's the Gem and Ninja's button. Phoenix's questions are very pointed, more so than his hair. Yes. I wonder where Edgeworth sits re Steel Samurai versus Nickel Samurai. I think he likes Steel Samurai better. He said something about when I was showing his the actor profiles to him yesterday. He said something about, oh, so this is the kind of nonsense that's gotten popular now. Yeah, he said something negative about the actors anyway. Hold it! Do you have any proof that button belonged to the victim? Huh? What do you mean, pal? Let me put it this way. I'm asking you if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off of the Gem and Ninja's costume. Huh? Can't you tell just by looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it. Anyone could have smeared that blood on there afterward. Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir. Alright, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence. Now to reel this one in. Thread. Huh? The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. And that thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the thread on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match. Yeah, that's it. They're a perfect match, pal. Oh, that's Edgeworth for you. Never misses a beat. It was ripped off with the ninja costume and was found in Mr. Ungard's hakama. When was this button found? Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Kurita. And then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button. So it was almost immediately after the murder. The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people. Hey, what are you trying to say about me here? Play tricks? What? The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife? Huh? What do you mean, pal? By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand? Oh, is that what you meant? Well, we didn't actually think of that. I can't believe the bumbling of this department. Hopeless. Were you paying attention to the testimony right? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There is no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder. So is the defendant the owner of this knife then? The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. There is no way this was a premeditated murder, even if he bought the knife. Sorry, pal. This isn't some pocket knife. It doesn't fold, so it's not great for walking around with either. Well, this is not good. It looks like a freaking butter knife. This doesn't look like a proper, steak knife or anything. If the prosecution can prove it was a premeditated murder, we're done for. Phoenix? Yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective said just now. Think carefully, before it's too late. A button covered in the victim's blood, and a knife with Onguard's fingerprints. Be grateful. If the judge were more rash, he would have already pounded his gavel in closing. We're still in a world of trouble. Well, before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. So let's find the weakness in this testimony, no matter how small it may be. Okay, Phoenix? So I guess we have to do something to prove it's not a premeditated murder. Alright, let's take a look at these new things we have. But it's from the Gatewater Hotel, is that what we're going to point out? He didn't bring his own knife, it's one of the hotel knives. Yeah! Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand? That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Uh-huh. Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel. Oh. Gumshoe is great. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? And his theme starts up. I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realize this. But I didn't... Oh... The question is... Where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Karina's room. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. There is a knife and fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Ungard. Especially what was on top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Ungard's knife was missing. Oh. Mr. Ungard had gone to the victim's room with a knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife to visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Oh. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. Seems like Edgeworth had this planned from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it. A murder weapon with fingerprints, and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of Your Honour's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defence were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown? It means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. What does the defence have to say about this, Mr. Wright? The defence wants to save its game, thank you very much. The theme can be played throughout the rest of the case and you wouldn't be tired of it. Yeah, it's pretty good. Well... Phoenix, the judge is favouring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out to the sound of our defeat. Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court? Nah. This has to be another trap. Better if I don't say anything than risk throwing out a bad piece of evidence. Looks like the defence isn't saying a peep on this one. Which means this court is adjourned. Phoenix, we will lose this case if you give up here. So you had better show the judge something. Quick! Go down. We all know I have a tendency to be wrong more than that. More than I can even say. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see. Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, right, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. That's why I'm saving my game. Wow, yeah. You may now present one, and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to the court? Fetch. Sorry, Wright, but this time your bluffing steered you wrong. I can see nothing strange about this piece of evidence. Wait. I'm a man of my word, Mr. Wright. Wow, one shot. That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial. Nor is there any need for more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. This court finds the defendant, Matt Ungard, guilty. Seen that dialogue before. Worth it, yeah. Worth it. You can actually see Edgeworth get more and more incompetent as the series progresses. It's honestly kind of sad. Aww. Actually, I read something about that. I was reading a Wikipedia article, and they were saying in the making of this game, they were going to have Edgeworth as the main prosecutor again, but then they found out how popular he was, and they decided not to, because they didn't want him to lose to Phoenix over and over. So they had, so they made a new prosecutor instead, so that it wouldn't just be Edgeworth getting beaten like a billion times, so that he wouldn't be as disgraced. So because we liked Edgeworth too much, we got less of him. This is why we can't have nice things. But we got Francisca instead. I like Francisca. Alright, so the wine glass is the weird thing from the scene. It was next to the victim and wasn't broken or anything, whereas everything else was just all over the floor. And I guess it's the wine glass? It contradicts the fact that there was a struggle. This is a wine glass, is it not? Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well, yes, I see your point. However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. But, well, what do you all have to say? Ah, well, yes, it is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. It's good. Mr. Edgeworth? What is it, Your Honour? Your opinion. You don't need my opinion. Because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. That does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright. Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? Saving my game. The glass, does it match? And what's in the glass? Tomato juice, and there was tomato juice at the scene of the murder, right? Yeah, so, but yeah, like that's liquid from that bottle right there. She wouldn't have poured it and then set it down. It's possible. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's possible that is what happened. There's nothing that points to Miss Andrews not being the one who set the cup down. And if I raise an objection here, that would only make the judge slam his gavel down. You can't think like that, Phoenix. She's mind-reading. Mia. Right now, you're hanging on by a very thin thread. Anything else you can grab onto right now is better than nothing. So in other words, push as far as we can go. I love when they change my answer. The defence would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table. You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Now, here's a question. Did they check the glass for fingerprints? Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? Oh dear. You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then... Of course it has been thoroughly inspected. For fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one? Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one Adrian Andrews. What? Well, wine glass updated. Found next to the victim is filled with tomato juice. Bears Andrews' fingerprints. That is why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Carida. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Now do you see, Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Oh dear. Hey amigo, how are ya? Edgy subtly telling Nick to calm down and think. Yeah, actually. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation. Gotcha! I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier. Oh, Edgy boy, it's been what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet there was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand? The Wicked Witch of the witness stand. That's fantastic. Wow. I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today, I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime. Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know. Oh, Josh, I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgie right now. Don't interrupt us, Grams. Yes, madam. No, no, no. Please, by all means interrupt her. Please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say, that youths are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag? It was a great job being able to see my dearie Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that unguard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Carida. Those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night. Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo! You must have missed this odd sequel. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was Ungard, Matt Ungard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So, Mr. Ungard came out from the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Drink some water. I wonder why they gave her this weird suit. That was a pretty inspired choice by the developers, I think. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. Maybe they decided she wasn't silly enough? Miss Oldbag, what was your post on that night? The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show. I refused to help, I'll have you know. It was for that lead-headed samurai show. I even took out a few of the nails. Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on. Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little. And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door? That was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Something you were interested in? And just what was that? It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. Ah, an Engie-poo, of course. Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to a testimony later. Looks like we shouldn't force it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. So I'm guessing we're going to point out the article here. We'll do that later, though. Oh? Then would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Karida's room? I have no idea. I wasn't born, so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am. Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct? And that's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. Who in the world was that? I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of Juan's room. It was... He was? Yes, he was. Ah, I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Francisca's whip right about now. Well, I guess I can tell you, since he was such a bad boy anyway. It was Ungard, Matt Ungard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. You saw my client? Are you sure about that? Yesy. Really? Annoying brat. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. Okay. In every case, Oldbag is connected to an important contradiction. Ah, yeah. And the face. Please tell the court about the man's face in more detail. You don't need me to tell you about his face. That soft, gentle look in his eyes and his effeminate lips. His right eye covered by his silky hair, his sparkling, shining teeth. His teeth were shining? Well, he's shining all around in this week's pin-up poster, dearie. This week's pin-up? Why do you... I mean... I don't care how he looks in this week's issue. Please stay with what you saw that night. What? Ungard's face is the same, no matter where it is, you know, you whippersnapper. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? It's very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. You don't really have to put it that way to get me to say, Mr. Wright, there is something much more valuable than a person's pride. And that is time. Please don't waste this court's precious time with worthless questions. Yes, Your Honor. I think I just wasted his good favour. She may not remember things or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us. Really bad. But that's how the human mind is. It also has a tendency to jump off topic. She's strayed onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? But that's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? That's because you're not the one who has to question her. Good point. Good point. Alright. Let's try another answer. What they were carrying. What was the man you saw carrying? In which hand? His right or his left? Now this is a real mess. I mean, I can't be expected to answer such a vague question. What? Yeah, thankfully I remember what happens, Alyosha. I remember this, sort of remember this part. Indeed. Please be more specific with your question, Mr. Wright. Sorry? What was the man you saw carrying in his right hand? He wasn't carrying anything in that hand. Then how about his left? Empty. Well, this whole thing has been a lot of nothing. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? I assume this is the same dialogue? Of course it was important, Your Honor. Yeah, same dialogue. Clothes. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are. Really, as if something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing. That racing jacket. He was wearing that at the detention centre too. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? I mean, one of them has to be. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Oh, are they all not important? Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request what the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but alright. Witness, please. Oh well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must. He was wearing his flashy racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show. His racing jacket. Okay. Interesting. Are you sure the defendant was wearing a racing jacket? What do you think? It's not like I've seen him in anything other than that horrible thing. I'm sure he was wearing it. She is so sure of herself that it's to the point of self-absorption. She may not remember things or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us. Really bad. Same dialogue here. Wearing the jacket. Oh, hang on, the button was found in his hakama. What's a hakama? Oh, that's from... Is that part of his costume? What is a hakama? What's his costume look like? try that. Objection! Sorry. Got a bit excited there. Miss Oldbag. What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? Ah, it's button number 2 on the Gem and Ninja's costume. She knows which button it is. Ugh. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here! Give it here! If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this! Wow. She really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Onguard's body during a full-body search. See? See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Onguard. He was caught up in the pleats of his nickel samurai hakama pants. See? See? And Onguard is the nickel samurai. Witness? Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Onguard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Ah, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the trendiest dress, then maybe you'd think I was the most gorgeous woman ever. But I have to wear this dumb outfit. I've got a tape recorder stuck on my chest. It's... Okay, she doesn't want the costume. Oh god, stop. Oh god, stop. Oh god, stop. Jesus Christ. Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Onguard, the man, but Mr. Onguard, the nickel samurai? But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. Alright, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. Oh dear. This again. Yeah, her testimony is always really bad when it comes to, costumes. She just does not comprehend that other people can wear other people's costumes. On guard. On guard. Yes, now I remember. The nickel samurai. That's right. It was the nickel samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn that nickel samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Yuan. I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy, thinking such rude things. What? But the possibility does exist. Ah, young'uns today, I told you, there is no way it was anyone else. How do you do that? Because I said so, and what I say is the truth. At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Hey DMC2 and DMC, how are ya? On guard, on guard. Yes, now I remember. Would you please get on with your testimony? What's your language, young man? What sort of tone is that to take with an elder? My youthfulness isn't what it used to be, so you should forgive me for everything. If you keep on barking at me like that, I'll start singing at the top of my lungs. Oh god, please don't do that. What? A striking figure by the sea. Standing all alone is he. He's the nickel samurai. She's actually singing. Someone help my poor ears. Mr. Edgeworth, can you please do something about this racket? Witness, I'll give you a piece of gum later if you'll be good and stick to just the facts. Okay! You promise, right? Right. I'll be sending the bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later date. Remind me to send you a thank you note later too, Edgeworth, old chum. He's got to bill him for gum. Come on, Edgeworth. He's surprisingly stingy for someone who's rich. I think Wendy's hilarious. The Nickel Samurai. That's right, it was the Nickel Samurai that I saw. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not? Not too long ago? Then let me ask you this. When you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, I, wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public's court. So what? See? And look at where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well, what I said earlier. Who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? Since this series started. All that matters is that man was inside the costume. Isn't that enough? Oh, I got an achievement for that. Achievement unlocked. Judge Wagner. Okay. That's got to be a reference to something. What's that a reference to? Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. And why would that be? That way, no one could see his face, of course. But there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you would think the costume would make him stand out all the more. You are such an annoying child. You know that? You disagree with everything I say. Isn't that what you're always doing to me? I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of his costume. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show? Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage, you know, a friendly gesture thing. And that included the German ninja? Of course it included him. That's why when On Guard came out of Dear Juan's room, I didn't give it a second thought. I see. Well, anyway. People Court, that's the name of the former judge. Okay. Apparently the creator of Judge Dredd is named Judge Wagner. Wait, really? That's cool. I'm glad you like her too, Alyosha. Yeah, she's hilarious. So he must have worn that Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it really was the Nickel Samurai? As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning? Can I throw in the towel yet? You don't need to think too hard on this one. Huh? There's a contradiction in her testimony and it's sitting in plain sight. The question is what that contradiction means for us. Well, I have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. I mean, where's the proof that it was him in the costume? And... hang on. So we've got a photo of the Still Samurai. So there's like two different things I could point out. Like, first is how do you know it was him in the costume? And two, he wouldn't have left fingerprints if he was in a costume, so... Okay, her testimony destroys itself. I shouldn't even have to object to it. Good night, Russ. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, I guess this is the specific thing I'll point to. No? Okay. That's not what the game wants. Maybe I'll point out the knife because it has fingerprints on it. There we go. Please take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honour, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? Sorry, need a bit of water. Right. You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? If Mr. Ungard was really in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off. Oh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. Why would he do that? And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There is no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the Nickel Samurai. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. No, you contradict yourself, Edgy. Hey, Atom Andrew, welcome. You can't tell who's lost more marbles, the poor judge or old bag? Yes. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. But the murder still did take place. It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I have heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with his theory? Oh boy. I mean, yeah, there's a contradiction. But we'll try the other options too. Think about it one more time. Is he just gonna like run through the facts again? Let's go. I think I need a little more time on this one. Oh, he just repeats. That's an interesting option. Wonder why that's there. No problems, it's fine. I can't see any real problems with his theory. But if you let Edgeworth's theory stand, then we're one very large step closer to a guilty verdict. Look at the court record again and take another shot at it. Yeah, I just have to think about it one more time. Mr. Wright, please make your decision soon. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Ungard was the killer. If that's the case, save the game. I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. Okay, so what are we actually showing? It's the knife, isn't it? Because he brought the knife from his room. But I think he had my badge as well. Naturally, you point to the one piece with the least value, but with such vigour. Enjoy your youth while you can. Humans don't live forever. Neither do lawyers. Oh, is he saying that we're not human? You sure like to think you can bluff your way out of things, don't you? Phoenix, pay attention. Let's pretend for a second that Mr. Ungard is the murderer. Now, from that angle, if he didn't have a murderous intent from the very beginning, then that means there is a certain object that shouldn't be at the crime scene, right? A certain thing. What certain thing? The Phoenix I'm playing as is just... How are you doing over there? Busy collecting your thoughts? Alright, let's give this one more try. With even more spirit this time. Alright. Knife. This knife. This was used by Mr. Ungard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was, in fact, the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Kurita. I suppose? However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. Then one more thing. Oh, he's on a roll now. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. Oh, he's still going. Phoenix is going. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order! Order, I say! Order in the court! Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? To frame him. To hide the murder man. Yeah. It's to hide the way in which the murder was carried out, of course. More of your nonsense. Take another good look at the autopsy report. The victim actually died from strangulation. The killer tried to hide this by stabbing a knife into the victim's chest. But doesn't the autopsy admit that the cause of death was strangulation? Well, yes, the real cause of death was easily discovered. Then I'd say the knife did a terrible job of concealing this fact. And that laugh doesn't do a very good job of concealing your error either. Mr. Wright, I will ask you one more time. Was this knife really planted by the killer? You're honestly struggling to think of a single time in these games where you don't say there's a contradiction when prompted like that. Yeah, I don't know when you would say no. It's to frame my client, Mr. Ungard, of course. To frame? Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? But we just established that the witness saw the nickel samurai in costume. And if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Ah, witness! Looks like I've made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy Poo? Witness, did you or did you not really see the nickel samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Ungard with the nickel samurai, his character on TV? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the nickel samurai, that's for sure. She wasn't waiting for the nickel samurai? Alright then, who were you waiting around for then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Corrida. Am I correct, witness? The way you think. You're a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of? Aw. So Old Bag was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corrida. Maybe... Phoenix? Maybe the Old Bag was waiting around for that person. If it's who I think me is hinting at, it's certainly possible. Yes, waiting for that person. Did that guy really do this? Miss Old Bag, you were waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? My badge. What are you talking about, Phoenix? She could have waited until the next century and this would never have appeared. Ouch. Busted. Guess there's no fooling her. You two, what do you think you're doing flirting in my courtroom? Whoa! Flirting? No. That's not flirting, Judge. We weren't doing anything like that, honest. Well, back to the drawing board on this one. That's funny. You do that in 1-2 with red, white, and Miss Pink. Oh, yes, you're right, actually. She dodged left, she dodged right, and they are both right. Yeah. Who is this person? This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. Unguard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems that this is the latest rumour in circulation, Your Honour. Oh, this is... Well, this is... I see. The judge seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing. This manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's... Adrian Andrews? Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well. Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then. Witness? What in the world are you? Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. So that's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course. But what for? Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here? I really don't want to do this, however I cannot simply let this point slide. I see. Very well then. Witness, please testify about this secret information. Get ready. This is going to take the wind out of you young'uns. I'm sure we're all capable of handling this. Really, it's not like we're 10 years old. That Unguard is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay? Oh, and everyone else in the courtroom now as well? The defendant sent his manager. What a distasteful topic for this court. What? Nobody's above gossip. And isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant? Never heard that one before. Mr. Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person? We have looked into this matter, and found that the truth the article proposes is, in fact, baseless gossip. But should this be true, then this proves that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim. So this means I have to smash this rumour once and for all. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Be careful. The old bag seems rather excited right now. That's right. Unguard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth. Well, as the old saying goes, you've got to burn old bags with fire. Is that a saying? Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. Highway to the danger zone. Dashiko. Hey, Dashiko, how are ya? The only way she could be more nosy was if she had Look at Me snoz. Look at Me, who was that? What case was he from? I don't remember. No. Hey Shizzle, how are ya? Welcome. We're cross-examining Old Bag. Oh, okay. I haven't played that. I haven't replayed that one yet. I recognise the name, but we haven't gotten to that case. Pardon me, please. Yeah, we're cross-examining Old Bag, and Von Karma isn't here. She got shot in the shoulder by the kidnapper. That was a present from the kidnapper. She's okay. She's in surgery, but we're up against Edgeworth instead. This is why you don't give your kids stupid names. They'll grow up into criminals. That Unguard is one evil, evil man. You can't say something like that without proof. That's just slander. But it's true. That woman was getting intimate with poor Juan. Look, it says so right here, doesn't it? Manager to the stars, Miss AA. But the name of the magazine this came from is Gossipland. What? Are you saying that gossip is all just a pack of lies? What do you know? I suppose next you'll swear to me that the news is 100% truth. Did Francisca bust Maya out of the wine cellar? No, we haven't heard from Maya yet. No, he just shot Francisca in the shoulder so she couldn't prosecute the trial because he figured that would give us a better chance. He didn't realise Edgeworth was hanging around though. Honestly, Sonny, you can't discriminate between the news and gossip. Yes, discrimination is bad, Mr. Wright. Discriminate? When did I do anything like that? Jesus, this writing is so good. Yeah, I can't hate her either. Wow. Anyway, On Guard will never get me to say touché. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. A scandal? What do you mean by that? You're a dim-witted one, aren't you? I can't believe you don't know what a scandal is. Honestly, what are they teaching kids in middle school these days? No, I wasn't asking what the word scandal means. Even I know that much. Well, that On Guard thought he could own a monopoly on popularity. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. You don't have any proof that Mr. On Guard did any such thing. You must be suffering from shock. The shock of hearing the truth. And now, since you're in so much shock, you can't do anything right now. You're right, I can't do anything. But boy do I wish I could do something about you. Alright then, Sonny, show me what you've got. Can you show me proof that On Guard didn't bear any ill will towards Juan? We'll come back to this one. I don't have anything to offer. See? Just as I thought. And you were lecturing me about saying things without proof. You've just given me a free pass to say whatever I want, whenever I want. Silly boy. Me and my big mouth. That's the way the cookie crumbles. For you, anyway. Alright, so that one, we'll come back to that one. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. So, what do you mean by I took action? Like I already told you, I was lying in wait close to the crime scene. Once that slimy woman came out of Juan's room, I was going to capture her and teach her a good lesson, something you young ones need. You were going to teach her a good lesson? I was going to make her eat the damaging beams of my ray gun. Like this. No, stop. Well, it was too bad that woman didn't come through the door that night. Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay? You're sad we lost out on Allbag versus Francisca? Yeah, that could have been fun. Should have never given her a ray gun. Agreed. She's out of control. Wait. What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over. Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know this secret information? Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drilled a hole into my brain, you'll never find out. How in the world did that old bat get such a secret piece of information? Press further. If you don't be a good girl and tell me where you got this secret information, you won't get to go home today. Edgy Poo, what are you doing? Help me. What do I have to do with this? Just do this for me. You'll get your reward. I don't want your reward. But you don't leave me much of a choice. The witness could have gotten her information from anywhere. It's even possible that it was spontaneously made up inside the witness's head. And he lectures me on reckless blabbering. As long as we don't know where this information came from, it's quite a waste of time to focus on this line of questioning. Where did old Bag get her inside information? It has to be something I can use to figure it out. There's so many typos. Sounds like just another tidbit of gossip, doesn't it? But you can't just ignore it either. It makes your client look bad either way. Well, I don't think I heard anything really out of the ordinary just now. There has to be something we can catch her on. Yeah, and when I find it, I'm gonna press the heck out of it. Okay, so we can either prove where she got the info, or we can prove that there's no ill will between them. Yeah, let's take a look what we got. Still don't know what that was. The thing he was going to confess. Tabloid article about the victim was in the case. Interesting. So I think we're going to prove where she got the info from. Save the game. Evidence. So no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Old Bag? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop it! Witness. I hate to say it, but this is how you came to acquire your secret info, isn't it? Well, maybe she got hold of the magazine as well. It's one of these two. Are we saying she stole the camera? No. Ah. The investigative photographer, Lotta Hart. Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl. She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself. She reported such a thing? On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her outrageous impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. What? Outrageous ideas, you say? No, I said impressions. Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless? She stole the freaking camera. Ah, that's it. That's the note. Ah! No! You see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy. Then you are the one who took Miss Hart's note? I'm a huge fan of Juan's, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper. She's working with that evil Unguard. She said so herself. Unguard, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Maggie-Poo, you believe me, don't you? I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before. You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine. Wow! Holy shit! Wow. Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just once. She looks like she's really sorry. Should I forgive her? Nah. I'll try forgiving her, then I'll try more pressure. I guess we should forgive her. Who in the heck are you to decide who should be forgiven, you delinquent? Number of endearing qualities? 0. Phoenix? You can't go easy on her. She's no frail old lady. Yeah. You should be pressing her until she gives in. Mia is really scary today. Witness, you said that the only thing you stole was that note. Is this correct? Stole? Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible lonely trash can. That's all. You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it. Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again? Miss Oldbag. Save my game. Save my game. That was a perfect thumbnail. Oh, the vintage wine. Actually, yeah, that would be a good one. I don't believe that the note is the only thing you stole that night. I mean, present the camera again. Miss Oldbag. That note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it? A camera? Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, "My sweetie $1,600 camera disappeared on me." Why, witness? What is it, Gramps? If you have the note, then it is only logical that you have the camera too. Aw. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for? Ah, that's... What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know. I still eat meals like you. I fall in love. And borrow things from people. I think your definition of borrow is a little off. I saw that woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said, Slimebag Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire. Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures she had taken. I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things. That's not gonna hold up in court, lady. And it ain't. Bailiff, check this camera's photos. Hurry! We must examine them at once. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have? There is only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case. Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai. See, I told you. That's the guy I saw. This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. Otter's photo. Picture taken in the hallway right after the murder. What does all this mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Ungard clearly stated that, at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume. If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is the defendant. Oh. How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We've examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close. Ruh-roh. She does have a ring on her finger? She's married? Oh, wow. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client? Do I save my game? If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. What if I raise an objection here and blow it? Then I would put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There is only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotta Hart took. There's nothing strange. Yeah. There is nothing strange with this photo. I have done nothing to alter this picture either, in case you're wondering, right? I see, and it seems the defense will rest on this matter. In that case, there is no reason to further prolong this trial. Is this really alright with you, Phoenix? Well, there's nothing wrong with this photo that I can point. Try again. Take another good look at it. And if you still don't see anything, do something. Anything to prolong the trial. Yes, Chief. Well, wait, Your Honor. What is it, Mr. Wright? I'm about to enter my verdict. Please address me with your comment afterwards. No. I'm sorry, but this can't wait. Oh? Let me guess. You're going to point out some peculiarity with this photo? What? Why didn't you say so earlier? There's something strange with this photo. Save my game. I knew this was coming, right? Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we can all agree there is nothing strange with this photo. There is no way for the defense to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster. What? Bunker buster is not a term I can ever imagine Edgeworth saying. Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright? Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct? Lots of one chances in this case, eh? Well, I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. Where in the heck did she take this photo from, anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't she take a good shot? Especially when it counts. Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange? And I already know what the answer is, but we're going to try get it wrong, see what happens. The strange thing is somewhere around here, I think. Somewhere? Around here? I think? Am I seeing something you all are not? It looks like there was no problem with this photo after all. The problem was with the brain of that lawyer, Your Honor. But wait, you are the one who let your last chance fly away from you, Mr. Wright. Fast forward. Old bag will steal all your stuff. She's as bad as Maya, isn't she? Just stealing everything. Alright, yeah, I remember what the problem with the photo is. It's with the legs. I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here. What are you pointing to? His ankles? If you could see this person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't. And? What does that mean? The costumed person in this photo could not have been Mr. Ongard. What is the meaning of this? I wonder if you would care to elaborate? With actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama. His socks. You can see his socks. Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his hakama up just to walk. There is only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Alright, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. Huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? Then I haven't damaged his case at all? Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Matt Ongard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless. I figured it would come to this. What? Right. I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt Ongard. In that case, who is this a photo of? Who is the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume? It's my save game. Edgeworth already knows all. You go have a shower and... Oh, you can accidentally cancel out of it. Interesting. Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah. Why is he so calm? Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. Who is this person in this photograph? It's the badge. Definitely. It must be the badge. Are you saying this is who you think was in the costume? Well, I know there isn't a lot to back me up here, but... Sometimes I wonder about you. Do you just pick the first piece of evidence you see? I mean, sort of. I can't believe it. I didn't think you would mess up here, of all places. I really thought I had it. Now then, would you care to try one more time? Try old... Oh, okay, let's try old bag. Wonder if there's going to be any special dialogue for old bag. Ah. Nah. No special dialogue. Sayed. The badge is the secret mastermind of everything in the entire series. Alright. So, we're suspecting her of framing him. Adrian Andrews? If you want to know who that Nickel Samurai is, it is none other than this woman. And why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. Unguard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Ungard that night. And how does that all add up? It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Ungard's fingerprints all over it. The knife that was used as a murder weapon. Why don't you just say what it is you want, right? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Carita. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime. Order! 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 It looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honour? This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony. Alright. This is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means that the trial will go on for another day. One more day? Ah! If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya... Now then, we shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court. Save my game, save. It's very rare for there to be extra dialogue for wrong answers. Yeah, seems like it. Kinda sad. Hey, wait and see, it's fine. I have to do something. The trial must go on. But I don't have anything left. No evidence, no nothing. Now then, court will adjourn for two. I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honour, I request that you please continue with today's trial. But... was he... what happens if we try and object? Does the judge shoot us down? Now then. Please, Your Honour, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today. I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Andrews' testimony if she is not. Okay. But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development. Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor. And what do you mean by that? That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Adrian Andrews is all happening according to plan, even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. What? What? He knows Wright's tricks now. What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution's lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man. Somehow, I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. Exactly. Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess. Oh. I ran out of water quite a while ago, so gonna go get some more water. We'll take a quick break. Hang on, is it time to feed the cat yet? Sure, I'll feed her. Alright, the break will be a little bit longer, because I'll feed the cat and stuff, so I shall see you all soon. Trying to alt-tab. Game doesn't want to alt-tab. How rude. Windows key. No. What is the game doing? It's taking over my windows. I can't play music. Bad. Weird. It's not letting me alt-tab. There we go. Okay, give you some music. Circus music. I won't give you that. We'll just go with some court music. You know, because we're in court. So I'll see you all soon. Alright, I'm back. Hey everyone. Now that's an idea, panicking. Change my break screen to the murder video of 1-5 in an infinite loop, with the Blue Badger music playing. Yes, it's perfect. Utter perfection. Mwah, chef's kiss. Thank you, Atom. Alright, let us continue with the trial. Things are heating up. March 22, 2:14 PM. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian! No way! Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony, during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. Another case where the person was sleeping. Ah, thanks, Alyosha. See? She could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Then, dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Carita. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? Well, what are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix? You think her motive is related to Celeste Impact's missing suicide note, don't you? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impacts as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impacts suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it. is Juan Carida, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Carida. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impact's. It was Edgeworth. Looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. Well, he didn't know he was going to be prosecutor at the time, so... Sleeping in costume, yeah. Weird. Wait, if he was sleeping in costume... 2:25 PM. District Court, courtroom number 3. Nick will bumble into the answer as usual. Yeah, yep. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. Pronouncing words is hard. What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ungard. I see. Now then. Before we begin, Your Honour, I have one request. Yes, sure. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland. Smooth, Judge. Real smooth. Edgy getting a straight answer from his witness regarding name and occupation. Yeah! Yeah! Maybe he learnt some new tricks. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Carida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter. What was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. What? I don't get that at all. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. Speak for yourself. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Okay. That explains the juice. You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes. Sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honour. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix? She is one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking, so you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant this trial is over. Understand? It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. And what was Mr. Ungard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mini-performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. Ongard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes? It could not have been... Wait, what? Excuse me? It? What are you... Right. I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Ongard's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object, right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. Andrews loves his job. Mia is freaking scary. Yep, she actually is, isn't she? She is pretty scary. After that, I went to Juan's room. And why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Press further. Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon? What are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim? Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time. You can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? And there was his dead body. I was in shock. You were in shock? What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person. And despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Karina. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Wait, what? Somehow I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. Yeah, exactly. What did that have to do with anything? I see. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next, witness? I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down, without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Carita, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself a glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank. I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. Well, that's not sus at all. Edgeworth's calling her a young beauty was to bias the judge in her favour. Is a soft spot for pretty women after all. Ah, that's a good point. The most popular side character you mentioned yesterday is Adrian Andrews. She's stupidly popular in both Japan and with the international fan base. Okay, that's pretty cool. What was she starting to say just now? Yeah, press further. Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards? It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the vase was another part of the mess. It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. I was the one who knocked the flower vase over, where it fell onto the guitar case. Okay, so hang on. There's some water on the case, but only on the lid? So she must have opened the case. And I need some water. Okay. Well, we'll press that and see what that takes us. What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase, and it was fairly big and heavy. Sorry. I thought I would try to take one's pulse, so I set the glass I was holding down on the dresser. And that's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. That's odd. I thought she was always in total control of herself. That's what she would like people to think. Always be mindful of the gap between your perception and reality. It doesn't sound like there's any glaring contradictions in her testimony just now. I warned you earlier that she would not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. The only way you're going to catch her is with some very strong, decisive evidence. I have to find something. I just have to. For Maya's sake. Alright. So I'm going to point out the guitar case. Objection! You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. Ed, what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shard should be inside, not outside the case. Ah! What is your point, right? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No. Think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be, however... the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Nah, let it be, it's fine. Well, the case was empty, and I think that's all we really need to know. I see. Wait, Phoenix, don't you remember what I told you earlier? What's important here is that you disrupt her pacing. You have to attack her when she's not expecting it. Now then, let's move on to a different... Actually, Your Honor, I've changed my mind. I would like her to testify about the case. Why are you changing your mind now? Well, looks like I disrupted the judge's pacing. Now comes the real deal. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this. But it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along, for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. That's flimsy as hell. Looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using anyway to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see... Are you sure you are the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side is taking over. Well, Miss Andrews? Yes, it was me. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. So, you opened the guitar case then? Yes. Well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Mr. Kurita's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witness has said multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic... It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. Hey cookie lover, welcome! Nick is the patron saint of clutching at straws. Yeah. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Sorry. You want to go make food, but you don't want to miss Edgeworth. Understandable. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix, we can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up, but... she's at her weakest now, so this is our chance. Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with... Wow, can we just calm down a bit? We're not physically assaulting her. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. Wow. Nick's main tactic is grasping at straws because he sucks. Ah! like that one. That's a good one. Alright, well... What are we going for here? It doesn't have her fingerprints on it, though. That's weird. If she opened it, then her fingerprints should be on it, right? Bum, bum, bum. Is that what I'm going for? I don't know where that would take us, though. Yeah, I don't know where that would take us. That would be good for us, but it's a contradiction. Objection! There we go. Yeah, the glass has her fingerprints, but the case doesn't. There is no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Ah. What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at that time? Oh shit! Your fingerprints are on the glass! Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony. So of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. Let's make Maya angry with us. Nothing strange about that, that's fine. I guess so. And I guess that makes sense. You're the epitome of a half-baked idea. We are a half-baked idea. A brain is to be used, not to look pretty for med students carving cadavers. Cadavers? Looks like I need to bake my thoughts just a little longer. Now, if the defense has no further objections, let's return to the testimony. You were wearing gloves? Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? Yeah, definitely. It's my badge. Immediately. I think it's time for you to go home now, right? Before you hurt yourself, that is. Hurt myself? It's alright, Mr. Wright. You don't have to push yourself so hard. I guess I was trying a little too hard there. It's good. Immediate badge ejection, yeah. The wine glass, because it has your fingerprints, you liar! I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Oh. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange? That you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Ah! We broke her glasses, but she's got another pair. That's really funny. Order! 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 Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar was at the studio. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. Glasses reproduced by mitosis. I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defence's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic, and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, right, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well... Let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest that a bright black guitar was... So, you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty? Is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Oh, how are we going to prove this? I've no idea what was even in the case. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? My badge. And why would something like that be inside a guitar case? Let alone this one. Why, Mr. Wright, why? Well, I just thought it might have been possible. I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be? Yes, and never bring it out again. Wow, they're sick of the badge. Kind of foolishly foolish fool get some love. Whoa. Well, do you still think you can prove your theory? Can we prove that? I mean, obviously we have to. What would it be? Let's see. What could be in there? I mean, the only thing I can think of is the suicide note. What would that be in a guitar case, though? That's the only thing I can think of. Go with that. Nope. Nope, that's not right. What was inside the case? Okay. I don't remember this part at all. It's also weird that the vase would be intact when everything else got pushed off the dresser. But, you know, we're not at that point at the moment, so... I actually can't think of it. Anyone got a hint? Confess something. It was out of our client that was going to do that, though, not the victim. It wouldn't be anything to do with that. About what she was looking for? The suicide note, but I'm not sure how to present that. I tried showing this to hint at the suicide note and it didn't work. Ain't gone horribly alright, welcome. Why did I indict her in the first place? Yeah, because maybe I have to show her face? But that would be me hinting that her body's in there, and that's not what I'm going for. Yeah, Yes, we're going with the theory that she was getting close to him to get the suicide note, and the theory that she killed him for the note. Am I just am I on the wrong track, but I'm just presenting the wrong thing, or? The physical piece of evidence that first connected her to the case. Ah, okay. What was it? I'm drawing a blank at the moment. Oh, the costume? You're saying the costume is there? Why would there be a costume in there? I don't follow this, so we'll see where it goes. This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. In this picture? It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? So we're saying he had a second costume? Interesting. Yeah, thanks, chat. Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. Doesn't make sense. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You made this photo? Order, order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? We always do that. Hey, King Broly, you like that he nonchalantly agrees it's an insane theory? Yeah. Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt Ungard's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? Exactly, that's what I was... And inside the guitar case of all places? True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? So... Well, it must have been a spare, because Ungard was sleeping in his costume. So I'm going to go with the wrong answer first. What I think is the wrong answer. I think it may have been stolen from Mr. Ungard. It's stolen? But why would someone do such a thing? Maybe the thief wanted to interfere with the post-ceremony stage show. And so, if he didn't have his costume, then Mr. Ungard would be forced to go naked. What? What? Maybe you should... What? What? I've seen this line. I thought it was photoshopped. Wow. Settle down, Edgeworth. Settle down, boy. Maybe you should be stripped naked and run out for making a mockery of this court. Excuse me? Mr. Matt Ungard did not take his costume off after the award ceremony. He even testified that he took a nap while still wearing his costume. Is this not correct? Edgy ex-Nick Yaoi fanfic intensifies. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's probably going to be the thumbnail, isn't it? Oh, jeez. Yeah, he did say something like that, didn't he? That's what I thought. Let's try that one more time, shall we, Mr. Wright? Wow. And that's why we check the wrong answers. Because you get weird stuff like that. Actually, would I want to use that as the thumbnail? Because it gives away... Would it be considered a spoiler? Because it would give away that Edgeworth is the prosecutor. Mr. Ungard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. Yeah, I remember why. But why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the German ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time, without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. He shut up in the previous stream after all. Oh yeah, that's a good point. It's such a funny line, honestly. I want to use it. I'll think about it. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai's spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer. And then answer with gusto. I believe in you. She's got a lot of faith considering how many wrong answers we give. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was my badge. Phoenix, what are you doing? Are you crazy? I presented the evidence with gusto, just like you said. I told you to present it with gusto, yes. But I seem to recall the sentence before that was, think carefully. Oh. What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? Sorry. This one is pretty tough. I really think you should look carefully at the court record. And then search through your memories. The answer is there. I know you'll find it. Now then, are you ready to try again, Mr. Wright? Minus the wrong evidence this time? The badge. It's always the badge. Press conference ticket. What is this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Ungard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Ungard. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Miss Andrews? I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on the German Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? And do you know what this secret of Mr. Ungard's is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all. Protect Mr. Ungard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behaviour. Yes, Your Honour. I understand. Need Nick's badge as a channel emote? Possibly engaged in some kind of crime. That's a great idea. I'm just going to catch up with chat. Nick's inner monologue is entirely just snarky comments about people. Yeah, pretty much. Is there ever an instance where the badge is the right answer? Sometimes you have to show your badge to people in investigation segments to continue. Not sure about it in court, though. Protecting Matt. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course. The button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She is more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine, Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Yeah, we've just shown that Matt has a motive. A very strong motive for murder. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these three things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us at school. At least not from what I remember. No worries, Tag. May I continue now? Matt had to kill one, no matter what. So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why one chose that event in that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt Ongard. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. Ongard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. Has Mr. Ongard done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Kurita with his press conference. And that event was supposed to bring down Mr. Ongard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. Ongard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Drink some water. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Ongard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Ongard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. At Mia? He's glaring at you, smart guy. I was gonna say, why would he stare at Mia? What if she said that's wrong? My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course. The button and the knife. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Camouflage? Then what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the pleats of Matt's hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Ark. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. Hang on, so what else did we have added to the, We had that added to the testimony. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were mashed up, they were found to fit together perfectly. Or so I heard. I've heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that. Just because I'm prepared and you are not. Ah, and I thought I had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here. But where and what? But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. And now the word button has lost all meaning. Yes, it has. But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Ungard at any time. Why, then, would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Carita planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Ungard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please, stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press a little more. You should know this by now. But you'll need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. I'm gonna pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. I think like her motive in all this is very strange and confused. Why would she help set up a press conference to tear him down? So this is the one we're supposed... Hang on, I'm gonna press it again and just... yeah, I'm not really sure what to... Button was torn off during his fight with Matt. Like, we still have the weird contradiction of the fact that there's fingerprints on here, but we're also claiming that... Well, they are also claiming that this button landed in his costume, and the costume has gloves, so... Like, these two bits of evidence just contradict each other in general. But I'm not sure if that's what I can point out at the moment. Button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. This picture still stands, right? It looks like the knife was stabbed. Looks like the button might have come off when he was stabbed, but he was stabbed after he was strangled, which we still haven't figured out why that would happen. This doesn't prove that the button didn't come off during a fight, though. You're not really following the loops and logic Nick is making this time around? Yeah, I feel like I've lost the thread of this section. Hmm. I didn't make a pun on purpose either. To do with thread. Hmm. Hmm. Phoenix said this is where I would have to find a contradiction, but I'm still wondering if we can prove that she was trying to tear him down? It's tough, so I remember what the outcome is, but I don't remember where my brain's supposed to be at this point in time. Any hints? Nick's end goal to prove Adrian is the murderer, not Matt. How can we prove that? It's worth thinking she was wearing the costume. And she ripped the button off and planted it in his costume as he slept. Yeah, I'm pretty lost on this one, to be honest. Hey, Tag. I'm pretty stuck on this one. I'm not quite sure what to, maybe just repress things and reread them. Didn't have an alibi. I'm gonna repress this and just read it. Fourth statement? 2, 3. Yeah, that's the one Phoenix was pointing at, but I'm just not really sure what to... I'll try the knife. It's not the knife. Reload! I do like this music, it's good. Did I not press this one? I thought I did. Yeah, press that one. No, I'm completely stuck. What's the answer? So hang on. Why is it covered in blood if he was strangled? No, wrong photo. Yeah, was it? He doesn't have any other physical wounds. If he was strangled to death and stabbed afterwards. Okay. No, okay. Nope, that wasn't it. Joanne's autopsy report, apparently? Okay. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Okay, I picked it up, I just presented the wrong thing for it. Is it strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Thanks, chat. Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off of the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ah. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off of the victim's already dead body. That makes sense. Order! Order! What is the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight. So, the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know that what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? To have a memento of the crime? To have a memento of the crime. Maybe this was the criminal's first crime, and since it went so well, the person wanted something as a memento. That's so dumb. Right. I'll give this button to you as a memento. Huh? A reminder to never set foot in another court of law again, for as long as you live. Yes, I think it would be for the best if you stayed away from the attorney's bench. Well, wait, please, Your Honour. I'll get it right this time, I'm sure of it. Mr. Wright. Yeah, so to pin the crime on guard is what we're thinking. To destroy evidence. It was to destroy the evidence, of course. To destroy the evidence. Yes, we heard you the first time. And which blasted piece of evidence was the person trying to destroy, Wright? Mr. Wright, if you continue like this, I'm afraid you'll only destroy yourself. Sorry. There is only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Ungard. There is no way anyone would put a bloodied button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Ungard was set up. By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. Am I going to have to point out the murderer? Of course. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. Ongard, is... Edgeworth. Right. Which of these four doesn't belong here? Up, down, left, right. Right? Thank you. I feel much better. I'm relieved to know you can at least pick that much out. I worry about you. You seem to fail every time you try to make logical sense. Or in other words, think before you speak, Phoenix. We've got Edgeworth worried about us now. Is it just me, or is everyone ganging up on me? That's enough dawdling now, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honour. The judge. Can I point out the judge? Oh, no, he's not in here, is he? Ah. Hang on, I want to reload. Reload, get my health back. Edgeworth makes up for the lack of a whip with the sickest burns in the series. Yeah, he does. Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you! You are Mr. Karida's killer. But what? Oh, broke her glasses again. Order, 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 Mr. Wright. This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. What? How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Ungard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Another pair of glasses gone. Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Ungard was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. Another pair of glasses. Those things are expensive. Stop breaking them, Nick. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. Ungard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. Just needs a towel or something, I don't know. Need a glasses counter. Yeah. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. Ah! And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. Ungard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? But please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. And what was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. What's happening? We're pointing the finger at Adrian Andrews because all the evidence fits that she would have. It all fits together that she framed him. Someone did count how many times she breaks her glasses during the case. Oh wow. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination, by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Unguard's room. Adrian Andrews? Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there is still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? What's wrong, right? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realise this as well, Your Honour. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbour a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But, Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No! She's taken that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. And the defence's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid, definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial? Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honour. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but... Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews? When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honour, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. Well. Edgeworth's gone maverick. Yeah, Edgeworth always has Nick's back. Yeah. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realised that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Okay. So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Yeah, Phoenix just can't accept that Edgeworth is his friend. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there is a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Aw. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. So, it was a mess? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Carita? I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then, what did you see next, witness? And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. Slumped over? Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? Yeah, he had a knife sticking out of him. So... when I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix. And then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought. I see. So you didn't think he was dead at all? To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice? Yes, he always has a hard time waking up. So Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I see. And after that, what happened next? When I realised that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. And how did you come to realise that he was, in fact, dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked, and staggered backward, and knocked the flower vase over. So that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? Yeah, Mia needs to settle down a little bit. She's kind of aggro today. Yeah, so he had a knife sticking out of him. So, that doesn't make sense. What are we going to show? The knife? Not the knife? Okay. Guess we'll show the photo? So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. And I think the knife should have worked too, but anyway. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? Ah! What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Karida's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. That's... well, you see... I doubt a single person in the world will mistake this for someone who fainted, and then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is? Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. Ah! Not glasses again. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer. No! It's her sister's life on the line. She's going to be aggressive. Ah, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Ongard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who killed one. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so is that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt Ongard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt Ongard. Your Honour, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute, real truth. The absolute, real truth? What are you... Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt Ongard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by grouping tightly onto the words of another. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself, But then, right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karner. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Ongard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get our not guilty. That is my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill one. Help. Please. Someone, help me. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? But what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did, and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there. Right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Say it again. Hey, Magnolia. How are ya? Request not guilty verdict. Force her to testify. And I want to force her to testify. Let's try requesting not guilty. No matter what she says, Miss Andrews is the only person it could be. Not to mention, I don't have a choice. I have to win a complete acquittal today. Your Honor, the defense believes there is enough evidence to substantiate our claim. Therefore, we motion that this court passes a verdict of not guilty as soon as possible. I'm disappointed in you, Wright. Oh. What have you learned in this past year? That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this. However, what is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Okay, hang on. Let's pick the other option. Yeah, I wanted her to testify. Now, so what's it actually called? Dependent personality disorder? Is that what it's called? Okay. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews. I would like to know what you are really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing? Sure, Mr. Ongard will get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me. That's enough. Yeah. Looks like we end up at the same place. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth. Well, very important difference. We didn't disappoint Edgeworth. Very important. Stop. Mr. Edgeworth? This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. So stop. Please stop. No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I am about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. Ooh, this is pretty dirty, Edgeworth. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything in the world. Please, please stop! I beg you! If people find out, I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, it is no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. Wow, what the hell? So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Wow. Nothing matters anymore. Yeah. There. I'm going to turn off auto mode. It's picking up all kinds of things it shouldn't. I forgot to turn it off after last stream. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realised he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed one's dead body with the knife, and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. Stab the body? With the knife? Why would you do that? Edgeworth's still a jerk, but a jerk in pursuit of truth is better than a jerk in pursuit of guilty verdict. That's a good point. Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... this is the truth. The real killer is Matt, that scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time? So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Carita, in the chest with the knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt Ungard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. But you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. But that scarf is a part of the Jammer Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up, and went to pour the juice. Yeah, I feel really bad for Adrian here. When I realised he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop one and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And that was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed one's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Oops. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed one's dead body, I suddenly realised something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So, you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Ongard's hakama? Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta. He's gonna bet his spikes. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I had already been caught and made it into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. Hey, Average's artist, thanks for following. Lotta Hart could definitely be defined as an inconvenience. Yes. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes. I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes. Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is his secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the nickel samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So, after that, you went back to Mr. Ongard's room and planted the button? Into Matt's hakama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. But my word, what does all this mean? Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Ongard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. Well, what this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. But wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honour. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. Nope. Oh, the judge was gone. He's gone. Went for lunch. Oh. Today's trial. It's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember it at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remembered just now. I found this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there, right next to him. You found that card? Next to the victim's body? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not. But it's still a strange card, if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why. Witness! That card! Give it to me! Hurry! Edgeworth? Do you have any idea what you have stupidly, yet inadvertently done? This. I cannot believe you hid this from me all this time. I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it? And what does it mean? Of course, we have to find out next time. How can you not think it's relevant when it's found at the scene? Yeah! Edgeworth's real power. Breaking video game conventions and asking the right questions. Yep. Well, I think it's another investigation segment next. What's the time? Yep, it's pretty late, so I'm going to end the stream for today. Thank you all for watching. When you save your progress, it tells you what's up next, so... Investigation? Yes, it is. So, that was a hell of a day. Wow. Wow. That's, Ooh, this case. It's pretty exciting. Thank you all for watching. And let's see... Oh, Sakura is still streaming. She's playing Earthbound for the first time. So I'm going to send you all over to her. Thank you all very much, and well, I don't think we can finish this case next time. It's probably going to take 2 more streams unless the next investigation is short. I don't think it will be, though. Well, I'll send you to Sakura Tsubasa. And I'll see you all next time. See yous!